The Bermuda Triangle. Just saying the words conjures up images of vanishing planes, ghost ships, and swirling vortexes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. For decades, this patch of water, loosely defined between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, has been the stuff of legends and nightmares. Countless books, TV shows, and movies have been made about it, each one adding another layer to the mystery. But what if I told you that the greatest mystery of the Bermuda Triangle is why we ever thought it was a mystery in the first place? Today, we're peeling back the layers of myth and misinformation to uncover the truth. Get ready, because we're sailing straight into the heart of one of the world's most famous enigmas. The story really kicks off in the 1950s. Articles began appearing in magazines, telling sensational stories about a strange pattern of disappearances in the area. But it was Vincent Gaddis who coined the term the Bermuda Triangle in a 1964 pulp magazine article. He compiled a list of strange incidents, creating a narrative of a mysterious, deadly zone. Then, in 1974, a man named Charles Berlitz published his blockbuster book, The Bermuda Triangle. This book sold millions of copies and cemented the triangle's place in popular culture. Berlitz didn't just list disappearances. He proposed wild theories involving aliens, portals to other dimensions, and lost technology from the mythical city of Atlantis. The public was hooked. The idea of a paranormal hotspot in the ocean was just too exciting to resist. Let us look at the most famous case associated with the Bermuda Triangle: the disappearance of Flight 19. On December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a routine training exercise. They completed their mission, but then became hopelessly lost. Their radio transmissions became more and more confused. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, seemed disoriented, reporting that his compasses were malfunctioning and that he couldn't recognize any landmarks. He thought they were over the Florida Keys, but they were likely far out over the Atlantic, blown off course by strong winds. Despite numerous attempts by ground control to guide them, the planes eventually ran out of fuel and had to ditch in the churning sea. Tragically, a Martin Mariner rescue plane sent to find them also disappeared. 13 men were lost. This sounds like a classic Bermuda Triangle mystery, right? Well, let's look closer. The flight leader, Lieutenant Taylor, had a history of getting lost. He was also a recent transfer to the base and wasn't familiar with the area. It was late afternoon, the weather was deteriorating, and the sun was setting. In their radio calls, they were clearly confused, not reporting any strange lights or alien encounters. As for the rescue plane, the Martin Mariner, it had a nickname: the Flying Gas Tank. These planes were known to have a dangerous buildup of gasoline fumes. The crew of a nearby ship reported seeing a massive explosion in the sky at the exact time and location where the rescue plane would have been. It's a tragic accident, but hardly a supernatural event. The Navy's own investigation concluded it was a case of pilot error and bad weather. But the mythmakers conveniently leave out these crucial details. Another famous story is the USS Cyclops, a massive Navy collier ship that vanished in 1918 with 306 people on board. It was traveling from Barbados to Baltimore, and it just disappeared. No distress call, no wreckage, nothing. This is often cited as prime evidence of the Triangle's power, but let's dig into the facts. The Cyclops had a known structural issue. It tended to roll heavily in rough seas. It was also carrying a full load of dense manganese. Wards can shift and destabilize a ship. And, most importantly, an unexpected storm hit its path. A sister ship of the Cyclops, the USS Proteus, would later sink under similar circumstances in the North Atlantic, confirming the design flaw. The most likely explanation is that the Cyclops, overloaded and structurally weak, was simply overwhelmed by a powerful storm and sank quickly, leaving no time for an SOS again. A terrible tragedy, but not an unsolvable mystery. So, if these famous cases have logical explanations, what about all the others? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Researchers like Larry Cush spent years investigating the claims made by Berlitz and other writers. He went back to the original sources' newspaper reports, official records from the Navy and Coast Guard, and insurance documents. What did he find? He discovered that the story of the Bermuda Triangle was a manufactured mystery. Many of the supposed mystery disappearances never even happened. Others happened far outside the boundaries of the triangle. And for those that did happen within the area, the authors often omitted crucial information, like the fact that the ship or plane was caught in a massive hurricane, or that it had known mechanical problems, or that a distress call was actually sent, detailing exactly what was going wrong. For example, a story might tell of a yacht found adrift and abandoned, implying the crew just vanished. But the records would show it was found abandoned after being battered by a tropical storm, its crew having been safely rescued by the Coast Guard days earlier. The mythmakers just left out the ending. They took normal, albeit tragic maritime accidents and stripped them of their context to make them sound spooky and unexplainable. It was all about selling books and creating a sensation, not about telling the truth. So what's really going on in this part of the ocean? Is there anything special about it at all? The answer is yes, but not in the way the myth suggests. The area known as the Bermuda Triangle is one of the most heavily trafficked shipping and flight lanes in the world. More boats and planes mean, statistically, more accidents will happen there. Just like more car accidents happen on busy highways than on quiet country roads. The weather in this region is also notoriously unpredictable and violent. It's the birthplace of hurricanes and sudden, intense thunderstorms. The Gulf Stream, a powerful ocean current, runs through it, creating deep turbulent waters that can quickly erase any sign of wreckage. And then there's the geology. The ocean floor in this area is incredibly varied. It has some of the deepest trenches in the Atlantic, like the Puerto Rico Trench, which is over 27,000 feet deep. If a plane or ship sinks there, finding it is next to impossible, even with modern technology. There's also the theory about methane gas eruptions. The idea is that large pockets of frozen methane gas trapped under the seafloor could suddenly erupt. This eruption would drastically lower the density of the water above it. A ship sailing over such a spot would lose buoyancy and sink like a rock. While this is scientifically possible and has been demonstrated in labs, there's no direct evidence linking a specific disappearance to a methane gas eruption. Still, it's a natural phenomenon, not a paranormal one. So, we have heavy traffic, extreme weather, powerful currents, and a treacherous ocean floor. When you combine all these factors, you don't need aliens or time warps to explain why vessels sometimes get into trouble. The US Coast Guard, the people who actually have to rescue people in this area, have stated very clearly that they do not recognize the existence of the Bermuda Triangle as a specific geographic area of hazard to ships or planes. They point out that in their experience, the accidents that occur in this region are no different from those happening anywhere else in the world. Lloyd's of London, the famous maritime insurance market, doesn't charge higher rates for vessels transiting the area. If there were a genuinely higher risk, you can bet the insurance companies would be the first to know and act on it. The real power of the Bermuda Triangle isn't supernatural, it's psychological. We love a good mystery. Our brains are wired to look for patterns, and when a few stories of disappearance are linked together, our imagination fills in the blanks. The idea of an unknowable, powerful force is both terrifying and thrilling. It taps into our primal fear of the vast, uncontrollable ocean. The Bermuda Triangle became a modern myth, a sea story for the age of flight. But like all myths, when you shine a light on it and examine the facts, the scary monster in the closet just turns out to be a pile of old clothes. The planes and ships weren't taken by a vortex. They were taken by storms, mechanical failures, and human error. The real tragedy of the Bermuda Triangle myth is that it disrespects the memory of those who were lost. Behind every sensationalized story is a real family that lost loved ones. They weren't victims of a paranormal event. They were pilots, sailors, and passengers who faced the very real and unforgiving power of nature. Their stories are not about aliens or portals, but about bravery in the face of disaster and the terrible sorrow of loss. By turning their tragedies into cheap entertainment, we lose sight of the human cost. The truth is far more sobering and far more important. So, the next time you hear someone talking about the mysterious Bermuda Triangle, you'll know the real story. It's not a story about the supernatural, but a story about how myths are born and how easily they can be debunked with a little bit of research. The world is full of genuine wonders and real mysteries to explore. We don't need to invent them. The Bermuda Triangle has been explained, not by ghost hunters, but by diligent researchers, meteorologists, and ocean. The mystery is solved. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's most persistent myths. If you enjoy uncovering the truth behind dark history, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Let me know in the comments what other mysteries you'd like me to investigate. Until next time, stay curious.